Hello everyone, my name is Lizeth, and the claim I'm going to be refuting is modern technology has a significantly negative effect on every person's physical health. The effects that derive from the modern technology aren't always negative, and actually many of them offer ways to improve our physical health. My opponent's claims were: 1. Modern technology emits dangerous proximity radiation. 2. Modern technology can alter molecular abilities. And 3. There are no incentives for big tech companies to consider the health of the people they affect based on law. My opponent said, again, modern technology emits dangerous proximity radiation and can cause life-threatening issues decades later. This argument is invalid because to this day there is no way to prove that the cancer that an individual is diagnosed with is derived from the technology they expose themselves to. Though there are tests that prove that technology can cause cancer, there's nothing that proves that the cancer that they're diagnosed with is from a cell phone or a certain laptop whatsoever. This means that, never mind. So like I said, cancer can be caused by many things, but there aren't any statistics proving that the people who are diagnosed with cancer get it from the technology they use. My opponent also goes and says decades later, when decades later, there are many factors that can cause cancer in someone's life, like their diet. By consuming processed foods such as meats or pre-cut veggies, they're more likely to get cancer than someone who doesn't. And as for moving on to the second claim, my opponent said modern technology can alter molecular abilities. Wi-Fi, especially 5G, can alter important aspects of our body's functioning. This argument will be dismissed because it's just restating what the prior argument is saying, and I'll leave it by saying that correlation does not mean causation. And as for my response to claim 3, my opponent said there are no incentives for big tech companies to consider the health of the people they affect based on law. They also say modern technology makers know of the negative effects but have laws protecting them. There are federal regulations for major tech companies that regulate the radiation and the technology they sell. However, these regulations limit the danger in their products, which means that people have the option to purchase these technology devices, and however much they use or devote their time to it is completely up to them. No one is forcing them to use them nor expose themselves to this type of danger. Radiation can be obtained from more things than just the technology, like I mentioned before, even from your food, and that's according to the United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So, due to the lack of hard statistics, I will dismiss this argument with my stance being that correlation does not mean causation. Thank you.
All right, everything's structurally sound. You follow the organizational pattern that the advocates set up. On your first point, you've got a clear declarative claim that says that the argument is invalid because this is the thing that was a little bit confusing to me. You accept the premise that these things, this kind of radiation causes cancer, but you deny that there's any way to link this kind of radiation to the cancer that somebody gets. I appreciate the point that you're making here. However, I suspect that a jury would not necessarily feel the same way that you do about this if there was a lawsuit involved in this particular case. I do think that you've got a good argument that suggests that there's lots of exposure to radiation, and that comes from all kinds of things in the environment, not just technology. I think that that's a good point. This is the first time I've heard that cut vegetables actually have radiation built into them. That's a new one on me, but that's an assertion on your part. What I think you need to do is you need to show us what's the level of exposure that's required to get radiation. Did the advocate provide that level? Did they show how the technological exposure reaches that level? If they don't do that, then they haven't met a threshold to show that a causality is likely to occur. Plus, if that threshold could be met by a variety of other sources, it's almost impossible to link it to this specific source, and in fact, it's just general exposure to these kinds of things. I think that's the way you want to go with that argument. Your second point basically is an argument that says that the second point's a repeat of the first point, so the arguments generally apply the same way. Okay, I'll go along with that. Your correlation doesn't equal causality. Do they even give a correlation? Did they offer a statistical correlation to cancers and to exposure to radiation from technology? I don't remember that they did. If they didn't, I think you start off by saying correlation doesn't equal causality, and the absence of correlation certainly doesn't equal causality, and there's no correlation information in this particular argument. So don't be afraid of taking the argument the step further. I don't remember what their evidence was, but if they didn't have any statistical evidence, which is kind of what you're suggesting here, then they don't even, not only do they not have causality, they don't even have a correlation to establish any kind of relationship here. They just have a piece of data that says it emits radiation, but is the radiation dangerous enough? On the third point, you say that there are federal regulations, and I'm going, okay, let's hear one of those federal regulations, but I don't get much description of it. It's just kind of an assertion on your part. And then I think you go to the one argument that is a little bit problematic and says, hey, people knew what they were getting into. That's just their tough luck if they decided to expose themselves to all this radiation all the time. I'm sorry. I know that maybe there's a fine print someplace that says there's radiation in your cell phone, so don't carry it next to your heart, your brain, or your private parts, because who knows what kind of damage it's going to do. If that notification is someplace, you should tell us about that, so that then your argument makes a little bit more sense. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think that excuses people from being responsible for putting out a dangerous product, and I'm not sure that most people are well informed about that. Okay, stand in front of the microwave. We were told that was really dangerous when microwaves first came out. Then we were told that's silly. Now you're telling us it's really dangerous to stand near the microwave again. And not just the microwave, but also the laptop, the television set, your cell phone, the printer, and whatever else happens to be in your house that works on technology. Siri is going to give you a serious case of cancer. And I think that you need to tell us that this has not really been proven. And if it had been proven, guess what? There'd be a million lawsuits going on right now, and none of this waiver of stuff is going to go for, it would be challenged in court. All right, thank you.